Hey guys, preparing for a competitive examination? Tell me one thing, is your affinity towards a subject directly proportional to a chapter that you are good at? Well then, I'm sure you are aware that your rank in that competitive exam is also directly proportional to the number of chapters that you are good at. And you want maximum number of chapters to be in the good zone. Yes or no? Well, how do you achieve that? At Vedantu, we all master teachers have created a special and a very unique course just for you. We call it the micro courses. Well, now you can study any subject, any chapter at your pace in a super fun and in a super interactive way. So, what are you waiting for? Just follow this link and enroll for any micro course that you want. Not just that, there are over 2,500 plus micro courses for your access, that too at a super affordable price. I'll see you in the session. Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to Vedantu's JEE channel. How are you all? Tell me one thing guys, how many of you appeared for JEE Main 2020 in the month of January just now which got over? Just tell me that in the comment box. Tell me how was the paper, what's the date that you appeared for the examination, and how did you find the paper overall difficulty level wise. Okay, well guys, I'm sure that many of you must have done very well in the examination. Many of you might not be very satisfied with the way you appeared for the examination. Some of you may not even have appeared for this examination and might be thinking about appearing for JEE Main 2020 in the month of April. Yes or no? Any which way, if you are a guy who's thinking about appearing for JEE Main 2020 in the month of April, then certainly the smart thing to do is to know that how exactly the first round of paper which happened just now in the month of January, how was that paper? Yes or no? So that's why I'm here in front of you guys to share you the physics paper analysis of JEE Main 2020 which happened in the month of January on the dates of 7th, 8th and 9th of Jan. Okay guys, so I'm sure that you would be looking forward to understand that which all topics should be focused upon in this examination, which all topics were asked more frequently. Was there any topic which was actually not even asked? Was there any chapter from where like some papers were filled with the questions from that topic, some of the papers were not even had a single question from that one coming up? So yes, a lot of questions are there in your mind and I'm here to answer all those questions just for you. So guys, overall speaking about JEE Main difficulty level, then JEE Main 2020 was almost at par with the same difficulty level which was there in the previous year 2019. But yes, one thing that we observed as the master teacher at Vedantu is that the paper became relatively lengthier. Though they reduced 5 questions earlier, till last year, JEE Main used to have every single subject 30 questions each, but now from this year onwards they have made it 25 questions, out of which 20 questions are option based and 5 questions are the integer one. Yes or no? But then overall the analysis says that you have to pay attention to the part that the paper difficulty level has not changed much and more of problem solving where calculations were required. The kind of paper was that. Okay, now when you get into the analysis of the paper, thinking about how difficult the papers was, obviously all the papers are available at Vedantu's website itself, and the link to all those papers is also available in the description below of this video. But apart from that, if you have to really concentrate on the part that when you are going through a paper, trust me that when you will be just going through the paper at your home, you will not find it very difficult. The reason being, you will not be going through that nervousness as you would be when you will be appearing for the actual exam. Right or no? Yes, but then if I have to tell you that if you will create that atmosphere at home, you will sit for a 3 hours paper, do these papers, obviously that is recommended before JEE Main happens again in the month of April. You need to solve all these papers in the actual atmosphere. Put a alarm clock, put it for 3 hours, put a stopwatch, and then appear for the examination as you would be appearing in the on the actual day. Yes or no? So all I can say that difficulty level will actually depend upon your level of preparation. So you know that many of the students for the same paper will say that the paper was very easy, some will say that paper was okay, some will say that paper was very difficult. So everything is relative here and you have to focus and worry about yourself. You don't have to think about your friends at this point of time. You don't have to think about anyone else in your class that how that person did in this examination or is going to do in the examination. All you have to focus guys is how you are going to prepare for the remaining few months which are still there. You still have the entire month of January, February and March is also there. keeping your board examination aside, you still have over 2 months there to prepare for this examination, and I'm telling you, it is still possible to get a very, very, very good mark. Very, very, very good marks in this examination are still up for grab. Okay, guys, and if I have to roughly tell that what is the expected cutoff in this examination of JEE Main 2020, roughly 65 to 70 is basically what we are predicting, because the overall maximum marks has come down. Till last year, we have seen that the cutoff has always gone below 100 marks out of 360 also. So certainly the cutoff is not going to go very high this year as well. So don't worry and keep calm. Let's go forward and try and understand that how exactly JEE Main 2020 was in the month of January. What all things that you should know, which all chapters should you be focusing more upon, thinking that these are usually the type of chapters which are favorite for JEE. So I'm going to tell you towards the end of the session which all topics, which all chapters should you be actually paying more attention to in these few months which are still left with you guys. Okay, so let's go forward. For all of you who are here for the first time on this channel, looking at me for the first time, guys, this is me, your Suri sir, and I'm also known as Mogambo on this channel, because when you will be cracking this examination, Mogambo khush hoga. Yes, guys. As you can see, I'm an alumnus of IIT Bombay. I've been coaching students for various engineering and medical entrance examinations for over 10 years now, and that's my Instagram handle. You will not find any academic stuff there, but if you want, you can follow me there. Okay, guys, so let's go on. And there is a format that we'll be following when we are talking about the entire analysis of the paper. What I've done, I've listed down all the topics from which you can say the entire physics of 11th and 12th standard is consisted of. And I've also written the number of questions which were asked in a given paper. So we'll do the analysis of each and every paper on 7th, 8th and 9th of January. We'll pick each and every paper's analysis. I'm not discussing the paper here. Yes, paper has already been discussed. You can find that video on the JEE channel of Vedantu as well. Okay, so here what we are basically focusing on is the micro level analysis of the paper, which all topics were asked, what were the number of questions which were asked, what is the overall division of the number of questions from each and every unit of physics. Okay, guys, so let's not waste any further time and let's go forward and let's see that. Okay, guys, so as you can see it on the screen, it's January 7th paper. That is the very first paper which was conducted for the engineering courses, and this is the shift 1 papers analysis that I'm talking about. Obviously you can verify this by having that paper available on the Vedantu's website as well. So what you see, first let me tell you how exactly the analysis has been done. So this basically, the long list that you see are all the chapters which are there in 11th and 12th standard of physics. Okay, so starting from the 11th standard topics which spill over to this side as well. And I've, what I've done, I've written the name of all the topics which will remain same across all the papers obviously, and the number of questions which were asked in that particular paper are written in the bracket, as you can see. So what you see, starting from units and dimensions till oscillations and wave, this big of a unit is basically your mechanics. Then comes thermal properties, calorimetry, KTG, and laws of thermodynamics and heat transfer. They form the unit of thermodynamics, obviously, as you know. Electrostatics, current, electricity, magnetic effects of electric current, and moving charge in a magnetic field, magnetism, Earth's magnetic field, and electromagnetic waves, and EMI AC. These topics basically form your electrodynamics unit. And then comes your wave optics and ray optics. Looks like a very small unit, and it is actually called as optics. And the last 4 chapters that you see here, atomic structure, dual nature of matter and radiations, nuclear physics, radioactivity, photoelectric effect, semiconductors and communication system, basically form your unit of modern physics. So there are basically broadly mechanics, thermodynamics, electrodynamics, optics and modern physics, total 5 units. So what I've done, yes, you may argue that units and dimensions, mathematical tools are actually not a part of mechanics, but I've included them in the unit of mechanics also, and you will find that not many of the questions are asked from those chapters, but even if a question is asked from that chapter, then it's a jackpot, you know that. Okay, so guys, as you can see in this paper, there was no question asked from units and dimensions, basic mathematics tools, and there was no question from motion in 1D and 2D as well. Questions from mechanics started from laws of motion, work per energy had each 1 question, center of mass and collision had 1 question, rotational motion had only 2 questions, gravitation had 1 question, fluid mechanics and properties of matter, elasticity, surface tension had no question, and oscillations and wave had only 1 question, thermal properties So this is where mechanics got over. Thermal properties, calorimetry and KTG had 2 questions, and laws of thermodynamics had 2. Heat transfer, no question. In fact, this is one thing that I want you people to observe. Heat transfer, all the 6 papers, this is one peculiar thing that I noticed, had no single question asked in the entire 6 papers which were conducted. Okay, so this is where thermodynamics got over. Electrostatics and capacitance had 2 questions. Current electricity had 1. Magnetic effects of electric current surprisingly had no question in this paper. Magnetism, electromagnetic waves and Earth's magnetism consisted of only 1 question. EMI AC had 4. That's a huge number for this particular unit or a chapter. Wave optics had 4. Ray optics had only 1. Atomic structure, dual nature had 1. Then no question from nuclear physics. Photoelectric effect had 1 question, and semiconductors and communication system had 1 question. Yes guys, so don't worry. This entire PPT, this entire session PDF will be available in the description below for all of you to do your own analysis, detailed analysis. But if I have to tell you what is more important, because I'm not going to go for telling you each and every topic, how many questions were there, what is our focus here obviously is this one. We want to know that what are the topics which were asked mostly and the topics which were not asked at all. So if you will see all those green marked names of the chapters, these are the topics which I would say were the most favorite on that day. So you can see it here. Rotational motion had 2 questions. Thermal properties, calorimetry and KTG had 2 questions. Laws of thermodynamics also had 2 questions from it. Electrostatics and capacitance, obviously a very genuine reason to have it, because it's one of the very important units of your entire physics for 11th and 12th standard. So it had 2 questions from it. EMI and AC surprisingly had 4 questions. Yes, really surprising. Wave optics had 2. So you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 such chapters or combination of chapters were mostly, you can say, where the entire concentration of maximum number of questions was lying in. So this is basically the questions which were mostly asked from the chapters from. But if I speak about those topics which were not even touched by JEE on that day, all the gray marks which you see here, units and dimensions, basic mathematical tools, motion in 1D, motion in 2D, circular motion, properties of matter and fluid mechanics, heat transfer, MEEC, which was magnetic effects of electric current, and nuclear physics and radioactivity, not even a single question asked. Okay, so obviously that is not the case which is going to stay for each and every paper as we go forward. But point to be noted is that yes, there were chapters which were most focused upon, more focused upon, and then there were chapters which were completely neglected. Okay guys, now what will help you more is the next one, to tell you that how overall division of units happened for this particular paper. Which paper I'm talking about is the first paper which happened on 7th of January, shift 1. So I'll just get aside for a second for all of you to see this entire pie chart which is there in front of you. So you can see the broad division into the 5 units that I told you: mechanics, thermodynamics, electrodynamics, optics and modern physics. If you were there in the video, if you have seen that video where I've told you that in general mechanics and electrodynamics are the units which will make most of the paper of JEE as well as of NEET, I'm telling you this again and I want you people, if you are going to appear for JEE Main 2020 again in the month of April, I'm telling you this without any doubt that these 2 units, mechanics and electrodynamics, will always form the maximum chunk of the paper formation. So please be very careful and be very attentive about these particular units. They are lengthy units, no doubt about that, but they are going to be very scoring because maximum part of the paper will lie from there. Okay, so what you see here guys, mechanics had 7 questions in this particular paper. Almost 28% of the paper was mechanics. Next was electrodynamics, 8 questions. More than mechanics, 8 questions were there in electrodynamics. 32% of the paper was electrodynamics. Apart from that, you had 16%, 4 questions from thermodynamics, and equal number of questions in optics and modern physics, both making it 12%. Okay guys, I hope that you are getting the idea. Just by looking at the pie chart also you can get an idea that which units were mostly focused upon while this paper must have been made. Okay guys, so this is the very first paper which got conducted, which was highly anticipated by many people. Students were also not aware what kind of paper to expect, but nothing much unexpected happened on that day. Everything was as usually we were telling every day on our channel when you guys were coming online with us. We told you that things are not going to change drastically, and they did not. Okay, so on those lines, let's go forward and speak about JEE Main January 7th paper, shift 2. So same day the paper 2 which happened, the analysis again is there in front of you. As I told you people that this session PDF will be available in the description below, so don't worry. Let me tell you again straight away that which are the topics which were focused more upon. So what you see here, rotational motion, it's going to be mostly always there because rotation is one of the most favorite topics of JEE. Laws of thermodynamics, current, electricity, magnetic effects of electric current, and EMI and AC. All these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 topics had 2 questions each, relatively more balancing of the the weightage which is given to the topics which are usually asked more. So all of these 5 topics had 5 questions coming from there, but the list will get little longer when we look at the topics which were not even asked. So if you look at this side, you'll say that again, you'll see that motion in 1D, no questions again. Motion in 2D, still no question. Circular motion, center of mass collision, no questions at all. Heat transfer, as I told you, the most unfortunate chapter, wasn't even asked in the entire 6 papers which were conducted. And photoelectric effect was the 6th topic from which no questions were asked. Okay, now let's have a look at the pie chart again. I'll get aside for some time for you guys to have a look at it again. See, as I told you people, the trend stays, but this time mechanics taking over electrodynamics. Mechanics had this time 9 questions in this paper. On the other hand, electrodynamics had only 8 questions. So overall 36% of the paper was mechanics and 32% of the paper was electrodynamics. So as you can see, 36 plus 32, 66% of the paper was just these 2 units. Okay, apart from that, the usual thing, thermodynamics had 3 questions, 12% of the paper. Modern physics also had 3 questions, that remained the same, but optics had only 2 questions, 8% of the paper. Okay guys, so overall I hope that you are getting the overall trend usually which is followed in JEE. You can do this analysis for the previous year papers as well by yourself. You'll find that the trend will not be changed for the previous papers as well. Okay, so guys, this was the first day of JEE Main in the month of January 2020, and moving on to the next day, that is 8th of January, we are speaking about, that is shift 1. What you see here again are the same topics, same chapters, 11th and 12th standard physics, and again coming to the more important part is talking about the chapters which were asked more questions were picked from them. So this time center of mass and collision had 2 questions on the next day, and properties of matter and fluid mechanics also had 2 questions. Apart from that, if you look at electrostatics and capacitance, 3 questions were asked this time. Current, electricity also had 2 questions, and ray optics and optical devices. Now this paper where optics was given more weightage, and ray optics and optical devices had 3 questions. Atomic structure and dual nature also had 2 questions. So these are again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 topics from where more questions were picked. And on the other hand, if you look at the gray zone, you'll find that basic mathematical tools, motion in 2D, laws of motion, work per energy, no questions asked. Heat transfer, again the unfortunate chapter. Magnetism, Earth's magnetism, electromagnetic waves, wave optics, nuclear physics, photoelectric effect. This time 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 such chapters which were not even touched. So more concentration went to chapters which were not asked on 7th of January, but even more what happened was the number of chapters which were not even asked a single question from. Okay, so this is 8th of January, shift 1. Obviously you would want to see the pie chart for this as well. Look at this guys, what is happening here? Mechanics percentage is increasing further, but this time mechanics has taken over like big time. 10 questions out of 25 questions, 10 questions were asked from mechanics, making it a 40% itself of the entire paper. and electrodynamics reduced a bit, only 7 questions were asked, 28%. But overall, if you will look at the percentage of mechanics plus electrodynamics, 40 plus 28, 68%, comparative to 66% of the previous day's last paper. Okay, so again, staying as the two most important units here. Thermodynamics had only 2 questions, making it only 8% of the paper. On the other hand, modern physics and optics both had 3 questions each, making it both of them as 12% of the entire paper. Okay guys, so trend stays, little bit of changes happening in thermodynamics and optics here. Okay, so guys, let's go ahead and let's have a look at the next paper of the same day, January 8th, shift 2. Again, the number of questions which were asked in all the topics are there in front of you. What we want to focus upon, guys, we want to focus upon the chapters, the topics which were asked more and not asked at all. So if you look at mechanics portion, starting from there, center of mass and collision had 2 questions, gravitation for a change had 2 questions, oscillation and waves had 2 questions, thermal properties, calorimetry and KTG combined together had 2 questions, electrostatics and capacitance as expected 3 questions this time though, and current electricity. Now this is usually the trend which we recommend for JEE, so more what we expect things to be like. Unlike rotation, it only had 1 question, but electrodynamics had usually the kind of percentage of weightage which we expected to have. This paper had that. Electrostatics and current electricity both had 3 questions each, and atomic structure and dual nature had 2 questions. So again, if I count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 such topics from where more number of questions were picked. And on the other hand, if we speak about the chapters which were totally neglected, first 5, no questions asked at all. Units and dimensions, basic mathematical tools, motion in 1D, motion in 2D, laws of motion, work per energy. You must be wondering, was there even a question from motion in 1D at all or not? Let's wait and watch for that. So 5 topics here, and heat transfer, AMI and AC, nuclear physics, radioactivity, and photoelectric effect. So this side 1, 2, 3, 4, so total 9 such topics. Again, no questions asked at all. Okay guys, so I hope you are getting the feel that which are the topics which usually are being asked. You are not able to pick up a particular topic as such. At the end, I will tell you overall analysis as well, so stay tuned for that, where I will tell you which are the topics which were favorite across all the 6 papers. Okay, from here so far I'm sure you are also able to gauge the point that things are changing. Topics which are being given more weightage is changing paper by paper, so do not worry about that. Do not take any of the particular paper as the thumb rule. We will, at the end of the session, by the end of the session, I will tell you what are the chapters which JEE asked most number of questions from. Okay, so wait for that overall analysis as well. Right now the time is to see the pie chart again. So guys, again, little bit of rebalancing happened between mechanics and electrodynamics. Mechanics had 9 questions, making it 36% of the paper, and electrodynamics had 8 questions, making it 32% of the paper. So again, 36 and 32 makes it again 68%. Still the percentage remains the same. Okay, thermodynamics this time had 3 questions. So more or less 2 and 3 questions are coming from thermodynamics. Electrodynamics has around 8 to 10 questions. Mechanics has close to that same 8 to 11 questions are there. And optics and modern physics in this paper, optics had 2. Modern physics has had 3 questions, so making it 8 and 12%. This is usually what we are looking at as the pie chart division, that overall electrodynamics and mechanics are forming close to 15 questions by themselves, 15 to 16 questions, and then thermodynamics, optics and modern physics are filling up the remaining 10 questions. Okay guys, so getting aside for all of you to have a look at it again. Okay, so this was JEE main paper of 8th January, shift 2 that was. This is again the last day of JEE, which was 9th of January, shift 1. So this time again you can see filled with all the questions which were asked, the number of questions from each topic. Let's quickly go to the topics which were most favorite on this day. So this time the concentration on few topics increased on 9th of January. What you see here, center of mass and collision had 2 questions, and what we usually think happened here, rotational motion had 3 questions coming from it. On the other hand, electrostatics and capacitors also had 2 questions, and MEEC, magnetic effects of electric current, had 3 questions. Now this is what I as a student used to always believe the paper would have maximum concentration from. So this is basically that You can say that this is the more orthodox and conventional type of paper setting was done, where these 4 topics were given more weightage. Now if we look at the topics which were not asked at all, motion in 2D, you had a motion in 1D questions this time, by the way, and motion in 2D, projectile motion had no question, laws of motion had no question, circular motion had no question, and gravitation contributed in no questions here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 topics from this side. And if we look at it here, heat transfer remains the unfortunate, magnetism, nuclear physics, so 4 and 3, 7 units or 7 chapters from where no questions were asked. Okay guys, let's have a look at the pie chart quickly. So what do you see here, guys? This time mechanics cracked it major time itself, making it 44% of the entire paper. 11 questions out of 25 questions, 11 questions were mechanics. I think out of all the 6 papers, this is the paper where maximum number of mechanics questions were asked. A student like me would be very happy because I love mechanics. Okay, so mechanics had 11 and electrodynamics had 7 questions, making it 28%, and that becomes your 28%. So guys, the trend stays. Thermodynamics, on the other hand, reduced this time again, only 2 questions, making it the 8% of the paper. On the other hand, optics had 2 and modern physics had 3 questions, making them 8 and 12% respectively. Okay guys, so nothing changes in terms of the trend overall. And now coming to the last paper, which was conducted on 9th of January, second shift, you can see filled with again all the questions, their numbering, topic wise, chapter wise. Let's have a look at the name of the chapters from where maximum number of questions were asked. Center of mass and collision had 2, properties of matter and fluid mechanics had 2 for a change, and magnetic effects of electric current had 2, atomic structure and dual nature had 2, and semiconductors and communication system, the topic which we said just a few days before the actual JEE examination. We told you to focus more and more on the modern physics part, especially communication and semiconductors. So on this day, the trend went towards the modern physics part more, and overall 3 and 2, total 5 such chapters or combination of chapters which were favorite for that day of JEE. And if we look at the questions becoming 0 from the topics, or which chapters we had no questions from: units and dimensions, motion in 1D, laws of motion, work per energy, so total 4 here, and heat transfer as usual, nuclear physics and photoelectric effects, so 4 and 3 here, so total 7 such chapters from where no question was asked. Okay guys, so again the same trend we are following. Let me show you the pie chart analysis. Looks very similar, doesn't it? So mechanics had 10 questions, making it the 40% of the entire paper. So out of 25 questions, 10 were from mechanics. You had only 6 questions coming from electrodynamics in this particular one, but still if you will look at the total contribution of mechanics and electrodynamics becomes 40 plus 24, that is 64% of the paper still. Okay, so 10 and 6 questions coming from these 2 units, electrodynamics and mechanics done. Thermodynamics had 2 questions, making it 8% of the paper. Modern physics had, for a change, 5 questions, making it relatively a bigger percentage in this particular paper, and the only paper where modern physics had more than 3 questions. So this had 5 questions, 20% of the paper, and optics had only 2 questions, making it the 8% of the entire paper. Okay guys, so this is where the micro level of analysis tells you which topics were there, which of them were asked more frequently, which of the topics were totally neglected, like heat transfer we saw wasn't asked. Usually what we found: rotational motion, electrostatics and capacitance, MEEC, there was dual nature of matter and radiation. These are the kind of topics which were more favorite for JEE that day, on all the 3 days. Yeah. So guys, now let me tell you the overall analysis of this paper. This is where things will be more useful for you, because on a particular day what happened was something which was only affecting the guys who were appearing for the paper on that day, but overall analysis is something that we should be focusing more upon to get the idea that how the overall distribution of all the 6 papers which were conducted, all the 6 paper, if I take 25 questions from all 6 papers, that makes it 150 questions total were asked in all those 3 days in 2 shifts every day. Okay, so how the distribution happened among the 5 units that we consider for physics, let's have a look at that pie chart first. Okay guys, have a look at this guys. Doesn't it look very much similar to all the trends that we have seen? Very obvious it is, yes. So guys, mechanics overall out of 150 had 56 questions being asked, making it 37.3% of the entire contribution of the 150 questions which were asked in all the papers across. Apart from that, electrodynamics had total 44 questions asked, making it almost 30% or 29.3% of the entire contribution in all those 150 questions. If we look at thermodynamics, 16 questions were asked overall, roughly 10.7% of the entire contribution towards 150 questions. And modern physics, on the other hand, 20 questions it had, making it 13.3% of the paper's contribution. And optics had 14 questions, making it 9.3% of the entire contribution. Means what? The maximum contribution came from mechanics, electrodynamics, modern physics, thermodynamics and optics. Okay, so these are usually the trend which we tell also, that mechanics and electrodynamics are the most important one. Modern physics, because it is usually neglected, that's why questions and easy questions are asked from them. So yes, modern physics is the third most important unit here. Then comes your thermodynamics and then comes your optics. Okay guys, so this is the overall analysis of the number of questions which were asked, all 150 questions which are asked over 3 days, spread over 6 examinations. But now comes the part which will affect your preparation, which I want you people to look very carefully at, take your hint from it, and then when you are studying for the coming 2.5 months, don't forget to focus on the topics that I'm going to tell you now. What I'm going to tell you now, first one, the first slide that will be there after this is the sheet which tells you the most favorite topics of this year's JEE. Then the second most topics. That means what? Most important topics. Then comes the second most important topics. Okay guys. So now what you see here is basically the list of the topics where maximum number of questions were asked. So when we look at it guys, for the most favorite topics of JEE Main 2020 happened in the month of January, electrostatics and capacitance overall contributed for 12 questions out of 150, making it the maximum contributor of the paper setting. 8% of the entire number of questions which were asked were from electrostatics and capacitance. So do not take them lightly, these two chapters. Revise them properly, solve as many questions as you can, especially the questions which have asked in previous year examination. When you are preparing for JEE, do not forget to also solve questions which have come in previous NEET examinations from this particular chapter. Okay. Apart from that, the 10 questions each were asked from current, electricity and rotational motion. So these three are always the most important topics of both JEE as well as NEET as an examination. So if you are now again restarting your preparation or you are already in the momentum, whenever you are reaching to these topics guys, pay extra attention, take extra care for these particular topics, because expect trend analysis to stay almost the same in the month of April as well. Okay, then comes what? Center of mass and collision, magnetic effects of electric current, EMI, AC, atomic structure and dual nature. All these 4 combination of chapter had 9 questions coming each out of those 150 questions, so making all of them to be the 6% contributor of the entire paper setting of the 3 days which were conducted. Okay, so overall 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 such combination of chapters I have told you. These 7 should be in your hit list. You should, when you are revising, also whenever you are starting again to solve questions from them, and during your revision also, start with these, pay more attention to these. Make sure you are not missing out on any of the questions which have come in the previous examinations. Don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to these particular chapters. Okay guys, now because these will not be enough, the one that you have seen, you want the second best or the second most important chapters which were asked in this year's JEE examination. Okay, so what do I say? These are the second most favorite topics of JEE Main 2020. So guys, thermal properties, calorimetry, KTG had 8 questions coming from it, and same number of questions were asked from laws of thermodynamics. So overall your small unit of thermodynamics should not be neglected. Okay, this is overall the unit of thermodynamics. As you can see, 16 questions we know were asked from it. Ray optics, optical devices had 8 questions, though the contribution of optics is less, but the consistency, if you see, the number of questions were consistently asked from these chapters. So that is why the name of ray optics and optical devices is here. And similarly, semiconductor and its devices are also here. So usually the topics which we feel are, not very frequently asked, but then the trend says that these two should not be neglected. Elasticity and fluid mechanics had 7 questions, and oscillations and wave had 7 questions as well. So first 4 made it to the 5.3% contribution each, and the last 2 that you see here had 4.7% contribution. So those 7 and these 6 combinations that you see here. So total 13 such chapters plus combinations I've told you, which you should have on the top of your list when you're studying. Out of those 27 chapters, 26 chapters and combinations I've created, roughly 26, let's call it. So out of those 26, half of the list I've shared with you, that if I have to focus more upon, which half should I be focusing upon. So these are the previous 7, and these 6 combinations are the most important one for all of you to focus upon. Okay guys, trust me, when JEE will happen in the month of April, I will do this analysis after that paper ends also, and I'm telling you, I'm damn sure right now here that the paper exactly is going to be of the same trend. You will find maximum number of questions coming from electrostatics, current, electricity and rotation, and you may not find much questions from a certain topics, but obviously that thing can keep on changing. What you can actually control, what you can focus upon are basically the topics which you should be good at. Okay, you obviously would want to prepare for topics which are more frequently asked. That's basically the way of preparing very smartly for all these examinations like JEE or NEET. Okay guys, now if there is that doubt which is there in your mind that how do I prepare well for these particular chapters, say even if these 13 are there, they are not very small amount of portion to be covered. So I have a perfect solution for all of you. At Vedantu, we have the solution of you being able to prepare for an individual chapter or maybe the entire physics, chemistry and maths as well. So what are the solutions that I have for you? The first one is what I call as the micro courses. Now what exactly is a micro course? For those of you who are here for the first time, watching me for the first time, for you this is very important to listen. Say if there is a particular chapter out of the list that I've just now shown you, which you know now that is important, but you don't find it very easy to prepare for, then micro course is basically the solution for you. You don't have to study the entire subject. You just want to pick up that particular chapter and you want to study that. So micro course helps you study any subject, any chapter, that too at your own speed, at your own convenience. Moreover, micro courses for every chapter, be it from physics, chemistry, maths or biology also, by the way, they start from as low as 11 rupees. On top of that, all you have to do is just follow this link. The link will also be available in the description below. You just follow that link for micro courses. Use this code SHMIC. Any of the micro course which you see over there, you will get a discount of 95% over there. So I don't think there is any other reason for you to not be able to prepare for any individual chapter which you usually find difficult for. Okay, so micro course is just for you guys. Okay, apart from that, if you want to prepare for say entire subject or all the 3 subjects, say you are still not very confident about your JEE preparation, okay, so in that case I will recommend not the micro course but the entire crash course at Vedantu. What do you get in a crash course with us is obviously the live classes by all the master teachers, the best of the teachers who are here for all physics, chemistry and mathematics. You get the comprehensive test and the quality assignment as well as the detailed analysis of all the tests that you appear for. You know that JEE Main is an online examination, so you need to appear for as many online tests as you can, and that is possible for you on the platform of Vedantu. Okay, obviously you will come across doubts and they will be solved by your academic mentors including me, and if you somehow not able to come for a live class, then you don't have to worry. There are recordings available for you to replay again at your convenience. Important tips and tricks obviously will be shared with all of you guys at a personalized level, and towards the end of the time when your board examination will be over, you will have your rank booster quizzes also coming. Okay, and a very micro level paper analysis of previous papers which have been conducted, not just for 2020, for the previous year papers will also be shared with all of you guys. Okay, so I don't see any reason being very I don't see any reason being very small to not go for a crash course if you are still looking to prepare for the entire JEE main examination of April from all the 3 subjects point of view. Okay, so guys, all you have to do is just follow this link. Again, the link will be available in the description below. All you have to do is, when you go on this link, click on this link, click on buy now, and then do not just go forward. You rather use a coupon code. What is that coupon code? Coupon code is SMCC. When you use this code, what is the benefit that you get? The course, which is actually worth rupees 20,000, you get it for under 10,000 rupees. It is just for 9,500 rupees for you guys. So guys, don't miss out on these amazing opportunities. Do take advantage of that. And not just that, any of the 2 solutions that I provided you, if you want to just prepare for a single or a couple of chapters which you are not very good at, micro courses is the solution for you. If you want to come for the entire crash course, we have that available for you. Okay guys, so guys, don't just keep these informations to you. If you are enjoying the videos with us, if you are getting benefited out of this thing, then obviously do spread the word. If you like the video, click on that like button. If you have not done it yet, then obviously I would want you to subscribe to the channel so that you're not missing out on any of the important videos or information which we keep on releasing over here with respect to any of the examinations which may affect you. And if you found all the information which you are getting at our channel, then do share these videos with your friends. Tell them that all these important informations could be very vital in their JEE preparations as well. Okay guys, so I hope that you had a good understanding of the analysis with me, and I'll be coming back with you guys, and we'll share more and more important information, motivational tips, and we'll keep on solving more and more physics related problems on the channel of Vedantu JEE. Okay guys, so I'll see you guys again. Till then, keep studying, keep smiling, keep enjoying physics. Bye bye.